What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. I know this is a little bit of a different style of video, but with cars and all that fun stuff comes some need for business or a stream of income. So I know with the times right now, a lot of people are looking to transition their workflow online, gain new skills, and do things that just are kind of supplemental to now or an actual income full-time career moving forward. So with that being said, guys, I want to go over how to start a brand at home. Now, obviously, this is going to be more than just one video. We're going to go over all different sorts of topics, but this is going to be kind of an introductory kind of video to what it is, how to kind of get started, and then we can kind of open it up for questions and stuff like that in the future. And I plan to bring on people who are very successful in the space, etc. So my name is Kyle Solkar. I've been in business for the past like 10 or 12 years, but I started off fixing phones, and then I got into fixing computers, and then I started wholesaling, phones that were refurbished and refurbishing them myself and all that good stuff. Got into cars, of course, as you probably know by this channel, and I went through quite a few cars, whether it be buying and selling the cars, kind of whatever, and then I got into digital marketing after that. So I kind of still dabble in hobbies here and there. Obviously I'm a big tech guy, sort of, and I'm big into creative photo, video, stuff like that, and obviously I love cars. But with all that out of the way, obviously the number one thing that you guys want to know, why it's even of any importance, is that it's very important to have some kind of income stream to support, whether it's a hobby or to just build an actual business out of something that you really enjoy. So I think I've done that in the digital marketing side as far as building a creative agency. I've been in that space for about 5-6 years now, and essentially making money with a camera. Now I think it's one of the best skills, obviously, with social distancing guidelines. I'm not sure exactly how easy it is to go get shoots and stuff like that with different clients, but that was never my business model. My business model was more so combining online advertising, Facebook, Instagram ads, etc., with photo and video content. Because what people don't really understand is it's super important to have really nicely looking ads, not just really well placed or performing ads, on social media. So a lot of people, whether it be dealerships or different chiropractic offices, etc., were some of my initial clients. And obviously, being around cars all the time, dealerships kind of just eventually took over. I got into inventory photography and stuff like that, and expanded the digital marketing scope. But why that's even relevant to the topic is the fact that this whole time, obviously, I really enjoy digital marketing. I really enjoy creating content and for different businesses, and to be able to create targeted advertisements, etc. However, I knew that was never control over the end result. And what I mean by that is essentially conversion marketing, right? Where you're tracking conversions, one thing leads to the next, leads to the next. Which I mean by that is you click on the ad, you purchase from the ad, and then I can say, hey, look what I did for you. Obviously, you can, by default, just know that more people see your stuff, whether you're selling a car or whatever. But when at the high ticket, high level, it's very difficult to quantify this money in equals this money out. Now, you can obviously quantify having me as a vendor for your company. However, the problem is just, there's so many people and there's so many different things. You can never take credit, which is okay. It's not about taking credit. It's about how do you really sell something that you can't completely quantify. Now, I know a lot of people have ways of quantification and stuff like that. In the car business, it's very interesting. If it was maybe like a restaurant, then you had like a 50% off a burger deal, something like that, I get it. But that was never really something I was interested in. It might be something you're interested in. But essentially, I think it's a great start. Digital marketing, content creation, social media management for companies is one of the best businesses you can get into right now. With practically no investment, you can get started with as little as a phone. And we'll get into that later in some other videos. But when it comes to building an actual brand, the reason it's so important to me is because I already knew how to take photos, I already knew how to take videos, I already knew how to build websites just from years of experience, and just what looked good, and I already knew how to run ads and all that stuff. So I didn't have a perfect idea, but one of my mentors, George, is actually my only real main mentor in e-commerce. He kind of guided me through a lot of these steps. But what I mean by guided is he just kind of told me if something was wrong or bad. He didn't tell me what to do, but he kind of opened my mind to the idea. So essentially what e-commerce is selling things online. It's super self-explanatory. Amazon is an e-commerce store. eBay is e-commerce, but people typically now associate e-commerce with Shopify or dropshipping. Now, I never have dropshipped. I never wanted to dropship, and there's many reasons behind that, most of which just being it's very difficult to build an actual brand that people like if you drop ship a product. So just prefacing everything, e-commerce, you build a store on something like Shopify, or you can use WordPress with WooCommerce, but that's irrelevant because most people are just going to use Shopify. It's essentially a back-end tool, CRM system that you can process orders, track orders, build a website on, etc. And then obviously you run traffic, like paid traffic, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, Pinterest ads, Snapchat ads, all these different things, Google ads, to that website, creating a conversion, which hopefully you can scale up over time. Now, what I mean by scale up is, you spend, say you spend $100 a day and you get $200 in sales and you had a 25% margin or whatever it is, so you have a little bit of margin there. Whatever your numbers are, these are just easy numbers to work with. If you scale to $1,000 a day and then you can create $2,000 out of that spend and you still have that 25% margin, that's amazing. So not always are you going to scale and have those same margins, but just the general overview of how that could work, right? Because then if you spend $10,000 a day, you do $20,000 in sales, that little profit that you were initially thinking is actually quite substantial. So that's why it works. That's why it's a big deal. That's why people love e-commerce, because you could do a lot of it from your laptop. Now, the reason drop shipping, I don't really agree with it, is the fact that it's just kind of a means to an end, in my personal opinion. Now, what dropshipping is essentially, you build a store and you can convert, link things like Oberlo, which is an application in Shopify, which will give you direct access to some Chinese suppliers and etc. And the other option would be to find a supplier and then work with them to do kind of like a drop shipping scenario, which essentially drop shipping is you get an order, they see that you got the order, and they ship it directly from China, whether you call it e-packet or whatever, and you're going to get kind of just a blank generic product, of course, unless you've got better connections, etc. Now, there's people in drop shipping who know how to, make all that work, and if you can, that's great. But just by default, when you're not seeing the product, you're not putting any kind of quality control into the product or innovating the product or branding the product, it's just kind of like you're just an Amazon at that point, and there's really no competitive edge, in my opinion. Now, the reason I feel e-commerce is strange is because people in the Shopify space act like it's different than any other brand, like Lululemon or Nike or whatever. I know these are bigger brands, but even the intermediary brands, that you see in between at all these stores, if they sell online, they're just an e-commerce company, and odds are their supplier could be very similar to one of which you could run into on AliExpress or Alibaba. I personally don't supply any of my stuff from those places, just because I've built up, connections over time with suppliers, and I make a lot of proprietary products, meaning that they're not just kind of run of the mill. However, I've seen plenty of people be even more successful than I have in the e-commerce space by using products that they buy from places like there, or even drop shipping. The reason I think it's just not a good idea, especially in 2020, is that whatever you put your effort into now, you'd want to compound and grow. And I know a lot of people start drop shipping and then they eventually transition into getting a supplier, buying inventory, supplying and fulfilling orders and stuff like that themselves, or putting it into a fulfillment center. The problem is, though, the customers that are going to be at the beginning of your brand are not going to have a good experience, and that's going to kind of go down the whole food chain. What I mean by that is, if you make a mistake here, it's going to come all the way down here. So if the customer doesn't like the product, then your Facebook ad account relevancy score, your ad account's going to have issues. Your Facebook page relevancy score is going to go down because people are going to be dissatisfied. This wasn't something that was a big deal years ago. This is a new thing that Facebook rolled out, where they kind of interview or ask customers for a review that's private to them after they purchase a product, to let them know, because Facebook can track all of the purchase conversion results, obviously, because you're using a Facebook pixel, and that's going to lead into kind of how this all works. You could track customers' behaviors, and going back to the digital marketing thing I mentioned at the beginning, is you can essentially see, I ran this ad, I spent $30 to acquire this customer at $60, so therefore I have $30 in gross margin. My product cost is $10, therefore I have $20 in profit. It costs $10 to ship, so I have $10 in profit left over. And if I scale that high enough, I can actually have a really nice business. But with all that being said, guys, the reason I think that you should start off by building a store in general is because we all have time on our hands, especially now, and it's something that moving into the future, I really think is going to be a huge trend. Now, obviously, dropshipping and e-commerce is already a huge trend, but knowing that you could do it yourself is really important. And I wanted to show everybody, you know, kind of the steps from getting started all the way down to, you know, printing shipping labels, etc., and scaling from there. Now, I've made my fair share of mistakes, and now I want to help you guys. And it'll inherently help me by explaining to you, you know, where you can go wrong and where you can go right in the e-commerce space. Now, essentially, if you're looking, you know, at this video today and you want to get started and you have nothing, you know, nothing at all, I'd say YouTube is a great resource to follow, you know, for different videos. There's plenty of people out there that can teach you, you know, how to start a Shopify store, and I would just kind of go over, browse through content, and get a general understanding. But essentially, like I said, what you're doing is creating a brand, building a website, building assets to a product that you can eventually sell. Now, I want to teach you guys how to do it all within your home, because I, from experience, have found out that it's the best possible way to do it. Now, I understand if you're a big e-commerce guy and you know how to scale and you have all these systems set up, that's great. But for most people just want to get to their first 5 or 6 figures a year in, you know, a side hustle or whatever it may be. And you could scale, obviously, this stuff at your home. But the reason I think it's better than doing it, you know, at a fulfillment center or drop shipping, it's just the fact that, like I said, the more control you have, the better. We all have time, and why pay somebody else for the time that you already have to give, especially for something like your own business. So when it comes to developing a brand, pick something that you'd like to get behind. I always say don't copy other people. It's not going to get you very far. And realistically, you know, it's going to take time. That's just how it is. I know it's not the sexiest thing to say, but you can do a lot of the fun stuff, build logos, build websites, you know, create different product assets and order this product, take pictures of it, etc., and get started really quickly. And then all it takes is, you know, just understanding the markets, learning how to do, you know, advertising, etc., and then you're off to the races. So guys, I hope you enjoy this little introductory video of the e-commerce entrepreneurial sector of this channel. I'm gonna still be posting a bunch of car stuff, but I wanna give you guys kind of the inside look so you guys can actually start, you know, creating some income if you have a little bit of a lapse in it, or you wanna take on a new journey in whatever it is that you're doing. So guys, as always, like this video if you liked it, dislike it if you did not. Subscribing would mean the absolute world to me, and I will see you in the next video.